Okay, so let's jump in there. So if we look at the next thing, we have our dashboard, and then we get into comprehensive analytics. So there's been clients have had issues trying to combine all the various data sets that are available for the process into meaningful analytics. So to take away all of that stress, these advanced analytics are really to allow anybody to open up these advanced analytics reports and track and report on basically anything that's available in the P44 process. So I'm going to jump in here and we'll cover each one of these tabs. Each one is meaningful based on its title. Okay, so if we jump into the Open Audits report, I'll just zoom in here. So Open Audits report, this will show us all of the audits that are currently open, what current tasks they're with, who they're currently assigned to, and details such as audit lead, the title, the type, the category, and details on how many days it's been open, how many current days the current task has been open, when the process was started, how many days open, audit start date, audit response due date, number of days overdue for the audit response, and the audit response sent date if it is sent. So again, these are all fields that are part of the process that have been combined into one report. So you're not going and checking for this at any, like in different data sets, different places. You can come and see all of your open audits in one single place. The other benefit of these advanced analytics, these are all pivot tables. So the ability to filter on any of these fields is extremely easy. We've provided some slicers down the side. Okay, so all these are just basically filters, visual filters that you can use to filter what data is being displayed in the actual worksheet itself. So audit lead, if somebody is coming in and they're saying, oh, I'd like to just look at Donald Barnes audits that are open, you can filter here by clicking his name, and the pivot table automatically gets filtered for that user. There's options to select multiple people. So Alan River and Donald Barnes, you can select two of them to get a report that you'd like to see. So we've included all of these different slicers, but again, if you're looking to filter on a specific column that isn't available as a slicer, the pivot table allows you to go to any one of these headers, click these little buttons here, and you can do a manual filtering by yourself. Okay. The ability to also just kind of do a contains. Okay, so if you do type in something that's a partial, like a part of the text, you can type it in, click OK, and it will filter based on that as well. Okay, so in this tab, we will see all of the open audits, like I said, and who it's currently sitting with. The next tab we have, this is the big one here, which is all audits detailed report. So this is basically bringing in every single audit that's been there, ordered by their audit status, so which ones are open, and then all of your closed, sorted by the audit process ID, and then, like I said, all of the details of your audit will be included here. So lead, title, all of the critical information, whether the audit response is required, the exit meetings, who the audit initiator was, what current task it's sitting with, and then we get into all of the dates. So you're able to quickly come over and check for a specific audit, when it was started, when the process was closed, any information on the audit response dates, how many audit findings there were for a specific audit, the daily meetings that were done, and of course, how many secondary tasks were associated with each one of the audits. So audit tasks, the secondary tasks being the total number, and then split into how many are not started, how many are in progress, how many are pending. So this again is an issue that clients were having with having to jump to a different entire data set to find out what were the related secondary tasks. In this advanced analytics, we've included them all inside this report to make sure that's as easy as it can be to find. So just as before in the other one, you'll see all the tabs are exactly the same function in exactly the same way. So we have all of our slicers down the left side to filter, or again, you can filter by using any one of the headers. So the next one we're going to jump into is more analytical. So this tab is going to show you how many were created, audits, processes were created, closed, and what the average cycle time were of those ones that were closed. So first tab here, basically how many audits were created by year. This one is how many audits were closed by year, and the average cycle time of the ones that were closed by year. Okay, so if we look here, I'll just try and explain a little bit, but 2020 here, we had 12 audits that were closed. And if we look over here, we have an average cycle time of 671 days. So if you took those 12, you tracked how many days it took to start and close them, and then you averaged all that, it would come down to 671 days. In this tab, we have all of the charts that are directly linked to the table itself. So some people are visual learners. Some people are more table driven. So we've included both to allow you to either show them at a presentation, at a weekly meeting, or if you need to track the table itself with more detail, you'd have the ability to use these as well. The cool thing about pivot tables is obviously the ability to expand and collapse individual pivot items. So you can see here, I kind of expanded a few, but 2020 here in the table, I've expanded to show the months. So we can quickly see in the chart itself is obviously reflected the same way. So feel free to, use the pivot tables as Excel has built them, and feel free to kind of change the filters, do all of that to get at the information that you're looking for. So we'll move on to the next one. We have audit process tasks. So this one will give you an idea of how long it's taking you to actually complete each one of the process tasks in the audit process. So example, audit activities. It's taken on average 29 days to do this process task across all closed audit processes. Audit planning, 171 days, audit preparation, 36, etc. Over here on the right side, again, this will tell you based on how this average cycle time is based on how many of those process tasks were closed. So if we look here at the 29, there were actually 59 audit activities, process tasks that were closed, and the average closure time came out to 29 days. This again, feel free to expand and collapse to get even more detail. So you could even look at the audit activities. Have we improved or have we gotten worse in terms of average cycle time over the years? So we can see here in 2020, the average cycle time was 112. 2021, we dropped it down to 1 day. 2022 was back up to 11. In 2024, we actually are closing it on the same day, so a 0. So these, again, are built for you to get answers of a specific item at each one of these tabs. And feel free with all of the slicers down the left side to filter if need be. So moving on, this one, just to give you an idea, if there is no data, okay, associated with one of your processes. So if in one of these tabs you see this no data, it means that there is no actual information available for the chart or the table. So you won't actually have to be confused with seeing some sort of error or something. It'll just tell you that there's no data. This tab, unfortunately, I wish I could show you this one a little bit, but this one basically tells you all the decisions and sign-offs that would happen in an audit. So anywhere where there's a decision that's being made or a sign-off, this report would basically give you a table showing who signed off, what the decision made, and what process task it was done for. This one is very interesting. This is the audit responses upcoming and overdue. So because in the audit process, there is a due date associated with you having to respond on an audit process response. This one will tell you exactly which processes are overdue or upcoming in the next month in terms of which audit responses have to be sent. So on the left side, we would have all of the audit processes with one line by audit, okay, if it needs to be sent or it's overdue. And on the right side, this would show you by audit lead. So typically there's an audit lead that's associated with an audit. So maybe it might be easier for them to come in and see exactly which audits they are responsible for using this table instead. We move on. This is the audit responses on time sent and percentage on time. So again, if we have a due date associated with the audit response, we'd like to know whether we're doing them on time and at what percentage. So over the years, we can check whether we're doing better or worse. So in say 2019, we had 100% on time sent. There were 2 responses sent and 2 responses sent on time. 2020, we dropped down to 67%. We improved in 2021 and improved again in 2022 up to 100%. We move on. This is the secondary task report. So again, instead of having to jump between different data sets, we've combined them all into this one tool. So from here, you'll be able to see, based on your audit, all of the various secondary tasks that are associated. So on the left side here, we have the information of the audit process itself, the overall information. And then for the audit secondary tasks would be all listed here with all of their details, including their status, their overdue type, so whether they're overdue upcoming this month or upcoming in more than 1 month, whether they're active, closed, or on hold, what type of task they are, who they're assigned to, the descriptions, all of the dates, so when it was started, when it's due, when it was completed, and of course, was it completed on time, and how many days overdue it is, and how many completed days it's overdue. So again, instead of jumping around, you can come in here and take a look at all of the secondary tasks. So sometimes a process might be held up due to secondary tasks not being completed. You can easily jump to this tab to take a look at what's pending. So we'll continue on. This is upcoming and overdue secondary tasks. So you can see how many tasks, secondary tasks, are currently overdue or upcoming based on their due date. And if you need to see what the audit ID is, you can obviously expand the pivot tables to maybe take a look at what audit process it's related to and exactly what the specific secondary task ID would be. And again, this is by audit and task, whereas this tab or this report here is by the actual secondary task assignee. So we can see Allen River here has 1 task. If we come down here, Etienne, it seems like you're in our trials, and you have 2 secondary tasks upcoming next month. So very interesting. You can come in and take a look at what's pending, what's coming overdue for your tasks. Secondary tasks created in closed tab. So you can get a quick look at how many secondary tasks have been created and completed associated with the audit process. So whether we're increasing or decreasing in the terms of the number of tasks being created or closed. And of course, on-time completion. So to me, this is kind of the most important thing when you're trying to track performance is, are we doing things on time? So because secondary tasks have a due date, we can track how many were completed on time versus the total number completed. And of course, turn that into a percentage to be able to take a look visually. So again, you can break these down by opening up the pivot tables to see more detail at a month level if you'd like to. And the final thing associated with audit processes is daily summaries or the daily meetings. So this, again, combines the data sets to make it so that it's easy to find. You can come in and filter for a specific audit or take a look at this report and see all of the various daily meetings that are associated with a specific audit. So if we look at here, audit 7, there was a daily meeting on this date, and there was a closed meeting on this date, and you get your daily summary, the daily meeting information, and the findings. And the last one is basically to take that information from the daily summaries and report out by year how many daily summaries you're doing. So the ability to basically just quantify how much daily summaries are we performing associated with our process tasks, our audit processes. So there's a lot in here, and I know that it might be overwhelming at the start, but I can promise you that everything that you need based on the audit process is in these tabs. And it's just a matter of going in and familiarizing yourself. And what we've tried to do is make sure that every tab is built exactly the same way as you saw me going through. Each of the tabs is built with a pivot table and a chart, slicers, filtering, to try and give you the easiest user experience that we can provide. So this is kind of the big overview of the basic validated sort of advanced analytics report that you can get at,